to kick off the discussion, I would start this with the, of course, keynote speeches that have been just presented now. And first of all, I turn to the French model, cooperation kind of model, cooperative model. On one hand, it was really presented as a good practice. On the other hand, I would ask Marie a bit more to elaborate how this model evolves. You mentioned that, yes, the cooperation, collaborative farmers that are in this corporate are the key persons, to drive this forward. But what about this model evolution? Is it possible that educational institutions, other actors could join this cooperative model to some extent, and maybe that would be the future? Maybe that could be the answer for the challenges to come. How do you see the evolution of this model, and what it could bring to the regional dimension, skills mismatch, and other things that has been discussed so far? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And that's really a very interesting question. Yes, how can we evolve? As I said, it's an old lady, so it has to evolve. At the beginning, it was just cooperatives. After the war, it was just how we can manage to buy 1 or 2 tractors in the village. And now we have major companies over 1 billion euros in sales revenue. So it already has evolved in a more a structured way where it's not only about having 1 or 2 tractors more, but also owning the whole chain. But if you regard the young, because you say it has to also evolve to attract more young people, and I completely agree. And we are trying to involve more cooperatives in also our agricultural schools. They are part of the administration board of schools also, companies and cooperatives, and they give their overview of the training of our young people also, so that the training will stick to their needs, to their demands. So that's very important for them also to make sure that what they need will be taught to our young generation. And also, I would like to come back to what Mrs. Minister about apprenticeship. It's very important, and a lot of cooperatives are signing agreements with school to have more apprentices with them. So that's to involve the next generation into cooperatives, and so that they are willing to join after they are graduated. So that's a way to evolve, and to evolve with the agricultural school, the agricultural teaching, so that cooperative evolve in one way, and our agricultural schools also all together. It's not that one is in one direction and the other in other direction. We are trying to meet everyone and everyone's demand.
Okay, thank you so much. And I also would like to invite maybe the panelists also to respond to this particular domain on cooperative model, a French model. Do you see some patterns of the cooperation in terms of, addressing the agri-food challenges, opportunities, in terms of, business that happens, in terms of, educational kind of initiatives that you clearly see that, yeah, it's going to that direction. Maybe we do not clearly see that it's a collaborative or a cooperative model so far, but there are some patterns related to this. I don't know, openly, if you have some connections or links or references or examples of cooperation, collaborative models in the regions from your areas. Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, not exactly maybe example, but I would like to simply, let's say, follow what Marie-Christine was saying, that in these cooperatives, the value that is coming through there is that obviously it is very local. And of course, it's probably becoming even more important that locally the issues are obviously solved. And one of the issues is, of course, education. And maybe one example that I can, though, give, it is a little bit related to France. is that when we talk about alternative proteins or protein diversification nowadays, for example, the question is that obviously none of these issues can be solved, somewhere in the corner or somewhere in the offices. I mean, they have to be solved with the farmers, with the people who are actually really doing the work there. And so I had an anecdote or heard an anecdote of France in one of the cooperatives where indeed this question about alternative protein and protein diversification was actually really addressed with the farmers. And one thing that came out of that conversation was that in a way, the let's say the whether it is ministries, whether it is companies, should help actually cooperatives to anticipate. And it is this anticipation, a little bit that came from the earlier speeches as well today, is that, we need to look ahead. And therefore, this anticipation is equally important for the farmers and equally important for the cooperatives to address. And then the question is that how far we need to anticipate and how can we help this, let's say, local ecosystem to support the future, let's say, evolution.
Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, I have some ideas concerning this question also, but I see it as a deeper problem when we are talking about Lithuania. And maybe 5-6 years ago, I started to notice that agriculture or agri-food sector is very isolated because most of the employees and most of the people are coming from a background which is agri-food background. And only now, for last 3-4 years, we started to communicate more to the other parties, yes, because we always thought that it's our business, only agri-food, and only these people. But now I understand that people who are coming to our businesses, usually they're coming from different directions, and they should come like this. And my idea, I have personal issue at this moment. I live in Kaunas, but my dream is to live somewhere near, like 40 kilometers around in the circle. And the problem is not the job. It's really possible to find a job in many different places. Usually there are really nice centers of agriculture somewhere around 40 kilometers around the biggest cities, or let's say, or 50. But the idea is that education and the problem with school. Yesterday, I was thinking about this meeting and what I can deliver here as an agronomist. My first approach to agri-food is agronomy, and I'm agronomist. And I was thinking how plants and nature is behaving itself. So usually, what plants are doing, if they are in a rough condition, they're trying to produce seed just to prolong their generation, their genetics. And it's definitely true that every single person acts like this. And if I'm in really good, wealthy surroundings, why should I bring my extension somewhere what is wrong or what I can't expect the best for my children? So in my opinion, what agri-food industry or every one of us can do, I think we can try to support local schools, local kindergartens, and not local universities. Sorry, Professor. But universities are coming a little bit later in the production of the plant. And I know that if crop has disease early on its living, it yields less. So my idea is how we can make and how we can support, as all the parties who are here, schools who are around, not in the biggest cities, not in the centers, not closely around the centers. And I think it would help. Maybe we can add up some ideas how we can organize really strong teachers, really strong, brilliant minds who could come to the local, to rural places and educate young people. Another question is, another idea, how much does Netflix cost? I think per month it's something like 10 to 15 euro. Per year it's 150, yes? Let's raise the taxes. 150 euro per family is not too much, but we could improve the salaries for teachers who are educating young people somewhere around.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Arnas, for bringing a bit more holistic.
Netflix for education.
Netflix for education. We can challenge this argument. Is it the best education as a Netflix could be? But I take this as a strong statement to think more globally or more holistically, I would say, about the challenges that we're talking about. Yes, we address young professionals in the rural areas, and we talk about the business opportunities, many things, how to cooperate with the other businesses around and so on. Education, sure. Vocational training, sure. But then, you know, these young professionals going to the rural areas, they are going not to be isolated there. They need infrastructure, kindergarten, schools, other things. They are not going there just for job. If they are settling up, they need some more things than only the promising business opportunities and high-tech solutions to be adopted in the particular rural area. And yeah, that brings us even to the bigger dilemma we have to solve in a limited time. So any maybe good practices that the panelists have in terms of other things that makes the difference, you know, in a rural area, attracting the young professional, attracting the businesses that also are related to, I don't know, infrastructure in general, the country can deliver. Maybe there are some agile methods like Netflix or any other things that could make a change with limited resources, but impactfully. I mean, universities being present locally in the regions, schools developed. And I mean, of course, we talk a lot about, you know, how to make the reforms happen, how to change the educational system, schools, kindergartens, and so on, and make it more present, available, but also qualitative and impactful. Any practices we have, international partners here, panelists, maybe you have heard something, some examples where other players and factors comes along into this dilemma solving.
Well,
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, one thing I just was thinking. You mentioned this kind of maybe farming university, like used like a Netflix, and indeed, I think that the fact is that younger generation, they already know where they can find education. And you know, it's available. I mean, of course, not necessarily in.
Can I clear it?
Yes,
because I see that it's going to the wrong direction. My idea that Netflix is not so expensive and everybody has it. Maybe we shouldn't pay for that, but pay for the schools instead.
I understand, but actually that brought me into this kind of thinking that maybe, you know, this could be also a way of looking at it as education model in a way, which would also be a possibility. And obviously, there are a lot of probably opportunities that are already available, even within EAT Food. We do have a lot of programs that are educational for farmers. I mean, you know, whether they are for PhD students, whether they are for master students, whether they are for those who actually look for very specific, let's say, new techniques and tools that are can be available. So I would think that the opportunities are there. There are possibilities. The only thing is that how do we adapt the kind of like basic, let's say, education model to actually so that it is easier then to reach out to further education, and then also in terms of like which meets the needs of today, like technology, like digitalization, like and in some ways, obviously, this young generation of farmers, I mean, probably you as well included there, know that, you know, what they need to achieve, what they need to learn, and where they need to go. But I think it's more of our systems that need to also adapt to that one and be able to maybe be a little bit more agile and be able to actually bring these new opportunities to the field.
Can I just add, because the colleague said, a brilliant idea, and I think we should hire you sometimes as the advocate of our reforms.
Just go to the line.
Yeah. It's about do we create the best conditions for all school children in every place of Lithuania? So the reform of the Ministry of Education, the millennial school reform that now, is the thing, and everyone has their opinion. But I would like to just not maybe talk a lot, but to ask you, would you be happy if you will live in somewhere 40, 50 kilometers from Kaunas, and in the morning, a very good and warm bus comes and takes your child to school, which is maybe 20 kilometers from the town where you live, not in the next yard that you can see from your house?
I'd be happy. The
Yeah.
problem is that I hope that my child would be not so smart, because if he will play chess, or if he will be exceptional swimmer, or if he wants to be something like gymnastics or
dancer.
something, ballet dancer, doesn't matter. But then I'll need to go for 100. That's a problem. And that's why my idea is, if we could attract really strong mentors to the regions who could develop something out of these seeds, we could plant there. I think it's different kind of level.
Yeah. But I think this is some
But it's
kind of
20-year goal. It's not like
yeah, exactly. And
we
and
can
I
do it
think
tomorrow.
only when young people will find something attractive in regions, then they go and live there, and then they will try and attract all those other services that are very important to them, like I don't know, like chess clubs or ballet dancers club somewhere in a small town, because it's very important. And I am a mother too, and I also planning to live in a region after some years, and this is the idea that I have, whether the kindergarten will be as good as I have in Vilnius.
Great. At this moment, where we're building our house, we have some space next to it. So
And that brings me to the probably possible answer. Is it possible to do something bottom up without expecting big government solutions? I mean, the same. I turned back to the cooperative model. Maybe if the cooperative is big enough, is it that hard to have the kindergarten for the cooperative, purposes? My office is rather small. We have like up to 50 people. But after witnessing the fact that like I have 5-6 colleagues of mine that leave for maternity leave and they come back, I already start to think as the employer, shouldn't I make the kindergarten next to the, even in Vilnius, doesn't matter if the infrastructure is there, but shouldn't I make the kindergarten in one of the premises close, totally in short proximity to the office? So maybe the bottom-up initiatives could be, expected here. I don't know, the cooperative model maybe, or some others.
May I add something?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting, and speaking about children, and it's not the cooperative model, but I'd say farmers' organization. There is a problem to attract young people, not only schools, as we mentioned, in rural areas, but also what to do when you're a young woman in a farm and you leave for maternity leave, how to earn money and to come back and to get some help, and also on other ground also how to leave for holidays, because especially when you're an animal breeder, you may want still to go on holidays, on vacation for days or weeks, and how can you do? And there are now, as you said, like a bottom-up organization. There's been some association of farmers that gathered in a region to be all together, and that you can ask them to help you to come to your farm and take care of your animals when you're on holidays, and then you do the same to your neighbors when they are on holidays. They're like rotating in the villages so that everyone got the opportunity to live on holidays. And the Ministry of Agriculture also provides help and subsidies to women that live on maternity leaves while they are on farms, because it was seen as also a big challenge to attract young women in rural areas.
Okay, can I
Yeah,
a
go
little
ahead.
bit? We talk about attractive for young people, for childrens, about condition in the countryside. It's very important. It's true. It's necessary to have good kindergartens or good schools. It's absolutely right. But I think that there are one more side which can attract people to this sector, especially to agriculture. We are from the university. I would like to say that Lithuania has another situation like French or in other countries. I would like to say that our generation in 20-25 years decreased dramatically. In 2000 years, one generation of Lithuania was 64,000 children. It's one generation. Generation in 2021 is 24,000. It's 3 times less than we had 20 years ago. And competition in the sectors in the economy is very dramatical. IT sectors, medicine, I don't know, financial sectors is very attractive for young people. And how to attract experts, specialists, and students to this sector, it's a big question. Not enough to have, I don't know, good conditions in the countryside, as we talked about schools and so on. And I think that French example with cooperatives or hubs, it's a key solution for our problem, because it's at not only possibilities to participate in this agri-food chain, but I think that it's very important social feeling of the people, and the weakest link in this chain, of course, is agriculture, farmers. It's not popular. We have many programs in the university related to agriculture. Some of them decreased 5 times, or some of them disappeared, like agriculture engineering. We haven't more engineering in the universities and in higher schools. It's terrible. And I think that if we could show for young people that when you go to the market, to that job, you will feel like a member of the community, which not only grows, not only farmer, but work in the financial sector, in the sales, in the production, export, and so on. You will feel like a member of this very interesting community, and you can change maybe a job from one side to another side. And I think that maybe university can be a platform for such example. I am ready to go to France to look this experience with a cooperative and bring to Lithuania. I know that in Lithuania we have good examples, and but maybe it's a key solution for Lithuania, because I am, how to say, very afraid that after 10 years we will have dramatical leak of the professionals in this sector.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Yeah, indeed. And with this note, I probably would like to shift the discussion more towards the climbing a bit up to the ladder of leaving the beautiful expected infrastructure that we need for sure for the regional development, granted, and we have to solve this somehow. But then climbing a bit ladder up and thinking about, you know, the businesses that are establishing themselves in the regions, thinking about the new technology, new emerging domains reforms of agro-food sector and so on. What is needed in this domain in terms of skills, competencies, also technologies and so on? And that brings me to the presentation that Vice Minister was making. Presenting and highlighting some of the reforms, changes, and so on. What would be your opinion? What would be the main key reforms that we expect and that will eventually come that would have the major impact to the regional dimension? I mean, on one hand, the R&D reforms, making the research more open, more interactive, and more regional friendly, I would say. On the other hand, the vocational training, other reforms that follows this. What would be the key aspects that could play the crucial role here?
I agree with what the rector said about decreasing number of young people in general. I mean, so we have to be sure that they are well informed of what career choices they can have. And I think if you want me to name the one reform that I think is important, so it's career guidance. Because what we see in statistics is that young people from regions, they go to universities, they go to bigger cities where the universities are usually based, but they don't choose the agricultural or food study programs. And this is actually a problem because I think that young people, they are not informed how diverse the labor market is. If we don't provide the service of career guidance for our children in schools, what they know about the labor market? They know what their parents work. They know what their aunts or, I don't know, older brothers or sisters work, their neighbors maybe, and that's it. And maybe from time to time they have some event at school where universities come and present, look, we have such and such programs, or schools come and say the same. But first of all, they have to know what they must study harder at school so that they could choose what the rector said, engineering, in whichever sector that engineer will work in the future. What skills they need if they want to do this or that. So this is very important, that when a child goes out from the school, he should not only have his exams in his diploma, but also a good knowledge what he wants to do, what his skills are best for which profession, and where he could learn this, in which university or in which vocational school, and this is, I think, is one of the solutions, because if the situation will stay the same, we will again and again have numbers of students that are going to social sciences and humanities, because this is easier.
We also have the representative from businesses. Maybe you could respond. Does it really make sense, or is it crucial, the professional orientation, vocation? What would be your preferences or priorities, maybe, in terms of these reforms?
You mentioned our priority. So the thing is that we, for a year, I don't know, since 2008, our company signed a contract with University of Agriculture then. And we're bringing students from university to our facilities to show how everything is handled. And by the way, they are signing the contracts for us, and we're paying scholarships. And this competition for students became so crucial that right now all major leaders of the agribusiness is there. They're fighting for agronomists. Since the first day they're stepping into university. And I'm happy about that, because usually when these young people are coming, and I'm seeing them myself, because I'm working them a lot, usually they're choosing our company because of people who are working there, of course. And also our next step and our next idea is to look for collaboration with schools, but not like Agrokoncernas perspective, but all industry perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it's the right people in the palette right now, because we as a company have a really nice facilities of headquarters of ours. Next to it, we have all machines who are attending in the in this process. And also next to it, we have 5 hectares of field where we have full crop rotation of 5 different plants. We're growing there wheat, oilseed rape, peas, beans, barley, spring wheat. And we are doing some experiments there with different kind of compounds of chemicals. We have plenty of varieties there. And it's full visual painting of agriculture in one place. So I suggest you, let's speak after the event. Maybe we could find some possibilities to make some phenomenal projects for agriculture together, all of us.
Okay.
And maybe it's we shouldn't speak only about our company. I know many people from our business. Some of them are here. We can help to support this knowledge that agri-food business is fantastic. We're just speaking about technologies like, news app, new something. Just imagine what kind of breakthroughs are going right now in genetics. CRISPR technology is changing, it's game changer for Green Course, for Green Deal, for all kind of stuff. But the problem is we are stopping ourselves to discover. And I really love how UK acted. Brexit, CRISPR technology, come. So we should consider that. Next thing is chemicals. It's enormous differences. What kind of crop protection products we do have now and what kind of chemicals we had some previous years. And when we are scared about it, we should understand that it will be part of our lives for a very, very long time. I don't know how to get rid of them. And I'm agronomist, not the lowest tier. So let's find some things to do.
Maybe some follow-up remark could be expected from Marja-Liisa, as you work in AgriFood initiative that goes beyond the borders. Lithuanian realities, some practices, some experiences that we share now. Is it there is some reflection or some synchronization or some relevance in terms of these challenges and then maybe approaches? Broader speaking, because you work in Northeast region, European region, anything that happens in this respect that could be a good lesson and then maybe inspiring case that you could highlight?
Well, there's one thing that I think is really important also in this particular area is that kind of looking at it in a way that this profession can actually provide very diverse possibilities. So entrepreneurship is, for example, one of those, is that, when you are maybe a farmer, you can also be an entrepreneur. You can be also a startupper. You can actually, there's a lot of opportunities there that somehow the combination of these kind of professions is not always very clear for people. That, you can do actually multiple things. It is also what you said. How it is then described, how it is then taught that, these opportunities come to the door of those people is once again, like the opportunities also what AgriFood is providing. There's also like things that are also maybe related to gender opportunities that, we can see that maybe there are many in Europe. I think there's still more male, let's say, in agri-food sector, but the difference is not very, very big. I'm sure that there are regional and country differences, but so that as well is something that, we should address in a way that the opportunities are there open for everyone. And indeed, it can combine entrepreneurship to become a startupper, to basically teaching. The opportunities are really multiple. It is only the question of like, how do we articulate them and how they are then offered, for example, to take advantage of those opportunities. But they are multiple. And again, I'm challenging us again, like to maybe see what is the future farmer? How does it look like? How is and let's picture that one. And if we manage to picture that one, even for the younger children, when they are thinking about what kind of a profession they are going to make, probably it's then easier also to, sell the story and make this, let's say, area of farming something attractive, even sexy, even something that, you can say, well, this is absolutely what I want to do. But it's the picturing, it's about the future. And then again, as you said as well, to break those barriers for the innovation. Because if we don't do that, well, we cannot picture the future either.
Okay, yeah, the good remark. I mean, on one hand, I fully follow you that it's like a technology-driven on one hand, but also opportunity-driven, as any other entrepreneurial area that that could be explored. And for this, we definitely need the examples, the leaders that shows the way. If we one day wake up and seeing the Elon Musk tweet that finally I give up, I don't know, electric cars, I move to AgriFood and I will work on bringing them smart food to the society and so on, that would send a message definitely that, yeah, that's the promising area to focus. On one hand, so it means that it's a bit sporadic and leadership-based sort of examples that are needed, that we cannot affect that directly, that, we need to wait for these stars to emerge. But maybe we can do something about that or about some other initiatives that actually would demonstrate for the promising entrepreneurs while they are choosing now the domain of entrepreneurship, that AgriFood is the one, the sector where you could evolve dramatically. Is there any things that we can do about that? Openly asking for the panel.
One of them things what we can do, and we try to do it, and action. We change programs in the university and the colleges too, what concerned agriculture, to reach this program by different skills from another, from IT, from languages, from entrepreneurship, and now programs is not focused only to agronomy or only to forestry, but it's enriched with another skills. It helps a little bit, but we are how to say we are in the frame for the programs. We cannot to join two specialities, and one is very difficult in Lithuania. It's necessary to change this situation, but we do. We can we try to do something, and I think it's a way for the solution is this problem. In another case, we will haven't young people in this sector.
Mm-hmm.
Any other reflections, reactions on how to bring, the agri-food sector on the top of sectors for the entrepreneurship? I mean, we talk a lot about the fintech, game tech, edutech, other things that are, on the wave. But agri-food definitely qualifies to be the sector and the domain of growth, having in mind the challenges, opportunities that we just discussed. Just someone has to show the way, and some inspiring examples that we already discussing here, showing the companies, entrepreneurs working in this domain, definitely contributes. Is there anything that is expected from the government point of view? We got presentations and keynote speeches from Ministry of Economy, not Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, and so on. Is there any particular actions that could make the change and could be expected from the government? I don't know. Also, I can turn to the French example as well. To which extent the government plays the role here? Do you expect some actions from the government point of view?
Well, we yes, as you said, we are trying to attract young people, and not only young people, as you said, to make it, as Mrs. Meurice said, to make it sexier. But as you also mentioned, some stars or key players has to step in. But from a government point of view, for example, we were trying to improve the image of the agricultural vocational trainings, and we launched a big campaign also on social media about we call that entrepreneurs du vivant, which means entrepreneurs of the living, and we launched a campaign, a bus and a train that went all through France and stopped in different cities to go where the students are and to speak about all the works they can do in the agricultural field, and to also break the image that agriculture is not only farming, but it's also agro-industry and precise industry, and that a lot can be done, and there is a room for every talented people, because you can be an agronomist, a vet, a technician, an engineer on a lot of different fields. So we are trying to improve the knowledge of the people about this sector, also through games, being a part of a lot of fairs and showing the attractiveness of the sector. But as you say, it's not that easy, because we still have to improve the image of the very traditional farming, even though traditional farming is very important for young people now. To attract them, we have to show that we are going to the future, meeting tomorrow's challenges. For example, how agriculture can tackle the climate change, because it's a topic that very interests a lot of young people. So we have to go in this direction also.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I could add a little bit of my ideas. I think the coal farming is coming to not carbon. Sorry, carbon farming is coming to this field as a really big help to control climate change. Also, another big area for all agronomy and agri-food is bioplastics. It's really nice, some activities and some approaches in Europe from the companies, chemical companies, by the way. Those who polluted everything now try to fix everything. It's kind of interesting. And for that, we'll need to start growing new kind of crops. Also, it's very important to adapt technologies, growing technologies. Which, by the way, we are specializing on right now, but I'm not talking about this kind of plants, maybe different ones. But basically, I think that agriculture becomes, as you mentioned, sexier every year, just because technologies steps forward. I think in Europe, what we can do, some extra, we should find the agreements behind these all the structures about drones, about flights, autonomous robots, all other places, because right now, many people in the East, many people in the West, I'm talking about South America, they don't care about any kind of regulations, they're just doing. But with that doing, they're advancing so fast that I'm asking if we'll be able to catch up. Because right now, enormous hectares, areas of crops are done with robots, with all this precision farming advancement. And even Western giants like Syngenta, Bayer, and BASF, all of them are going to the to the East markets first, because they see that they are facing all the regulations who are here in the Europe.
Yeah, we're approaching the end of the discussion. We're still a bit far away until we reach the conclusion and the decision, how do we solve this dilemma. But probably now, having a limited time and focusing maybe on some declarations maybe now, because we're here not only to discuss and to highlight the challenges and the threats, but maybe also to make some promises and slight declarations for the future. And I already have heard declaration that Mr. Arnas mentioned that he's open to provide some insights, inputs to, I don't know, vocational training system reform, to educational system, challenges, and maybe what the business needs. So definitely, I hear this declaration of openness. Maybe with a small remark from everyone, from every panelist, maybe what kind of short, small, big declaration you could highlight as the promise for the panelists, maybe for the participants, maybe a call for action that you can put forward, that you would like to highlight for the closing of this panel.
Can I start?
Yeah, you start.
I
please.
like declarations. I can tell that not only our company, but whole sector will invest into the rural development further. Right now, even among my colleagues who are looking for new brilliant minds in every single area of Lithuania, and we know that every single year we are giving them even more knowledge, more power to decide what kind of food will be growing there. I can tell you open-heartedly that we'll establish much more working places like this. And I know that future will be bright. I don't know why I don't have a very big smile today, because I know that future will be bright.
Thank you. The bright future was already promised. Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, definitely bright future, and there is like no other way than looking at the future with the straightforward and far and seeing all these opportunities. What I can definitely promise you is obviously from EIT food point of view, and what we are doing is that we really value nowadays that we have more and more farmers also coming in, taking part in our programs. So of course that is also helping us to provide and propose programs that are more adapted, let's say, to those needs. But you know what? I have actually one farmer in my team who's a farmer who is at the same time taking part in the United Nations let's say, sustainable development goals meetings, is going to Glasgow, is going everywhere. And so these kind of, I promise you, I'm sure that, we will have more and more these type of farmers and these kind of young people that are really ready to change this world. And, that's the only thing we can look up to. And we will follow them and we will support them. And we will make sure that, it is going to be our future is going to be very bright.
Thank you.
We'll need some sunglasses.
I agree for the brilliant future, but I think that for this goal we must to work together, and I involved business people to work together with the academy with the educational system, all from agriculture schools, ending with the universities, work together, work in the programs, work in the attractives, work in the I don't know, showing good stories, success stories for young people, and in this case. Future will be brilliant, and of course we must work together with the government, with the politics and so on. It's very difficult to do alone changes and reforms. Of course, we must work together.
Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead.
So actually, the ministry or the government, we work in forming the politics. So I think participation in such events help us to have some insights of how some sectors live and in what problems they live. Because when you form a politics, you look at all sectors at once. So it's very important to know how they live and what we could do to make that living easier. And we all are ending with some jokes, but I mean, you know how all ministries have the doors or the barriers when you want to enter So actually, the Ministry of Education had this small barrier only a few years ago. We didn't have any. So that means, basically, physically also, the doors were always open for everyone to come. So our ministry is, we have a format meeting with employers every month. And I know that the Chambers of Agriculture also participates. So please just give the message to them every time you want something. You can come to the ministry, which almost have no barrier to the cabinets, to us, because we form the politics. We program the money, where the money goes. And for us, it's very, very important to know where the help is needed the most. So what I presented in our priority projects in career education, in adult education, we will have an eye on this sector, definitely.
Thank you so much. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I totally agree with Mrs. Minister, because as a representative of the French administration and the French authorities, we cannot work on it by ourselves. These are policies that has to be done with all the stakeholders, NGOs, companies, farmers association or producers association. We have to listen to everyone to make the best policies possible, and also to work with other member states, because agricultural policies are part of the European policies. So it's very important not to be alone by yourself, and also to share your views with your other partners. So it's on every scale, on a local scale, in agricultural school, where you involve companies also to share ideas and what you will teach to the young people, to the states level, where you share with other stakeholders, NGOs, companies, biggest companies, association, and on a European level. And the France will hold the presidency of the council next January. So we hope to push an ambitious agenda on agriculture, and to help to solve and to tackle all those challenges with our partners from the other member states.
Very good.
Thank you so much. I see the time is up. I love to see the panel where the business, the educational system, policymakers do not hide in the bushes. I mean, they openly accept the challenges and declare some actions that definitely would contribute to the solution finding kind of approach that definitely will be here. And yeah, we are coming to the end, and then of course this is not the end of the event. We continue through the day with many more discussions, more maybe tailored, maybe more specific. So I invite all the spectators virtually, do not turn off the channel, and to continue be present in other sessions. And on this bombshell, I also greatly thank the panel here, all the participants, all the speakers, and all the contributors and the keynote speakers as well. It was a pleasure to have you here. It was a pleasure to hear your statements, declarations, and ideas for this topic. Thank you so much.